I'm off to my in-laws for a distraction for an Easter week activity. We're gonna color some eggs. I'm not really, like, it's not really my thing so much, but I could definitely use to get away from things and just piddle and have fun for a little bit. And I figured they wouldn't mind a little bit of seasonally appropriate guests. So they don't have any animals at all. So they live out in the country, but they just don't, they use it as an excuse, but they just don't want to, they don't want to deal with them, is the short of it. But anyway, so I figured they would appreciate me bringing those along. But anyways, it's been a very busy week and we're like halfway through. So prayers for, you know, making it through are greatly appreciated, but yeah, we're making it. But yeah, it's busy. We're at the church every single night this week leading up to the church drama, so praying that everyone, you know, does their part well and learns it and all the things, but we're hanging in there. All right, Operation Hosta removal has begun. It's super bright outside, so I'm sorry. And it's windy, but it's warm enough. It's nice enough to finally get the project done. So because of the siding, I think the heat radiates off of it and burns the hostas. So for 2 years in a row, we had the hostas burn, but that is because, let me show you. This used to be a very, very large tree that completely covered the front of the house and in turn shaded the hostas. Well, now they burn in like a month after they come up. So these normally completely fill this flower bed, but they're just sprouting. So I'm gonna remove them, send them to my mom and replace this with something else. I'm kind of sad, but I'm tired of burnt hostas. So, and the front up there needs to come out as well. So I would love hydrangeas, but those are looking to be a little bit expensive, so I'm not totally sure what I want to do yet. But I am taking the paper out and saving as much mulch as we can, so then we will just replace, you know, like kind of top it off with some fresh stuff. So hopefully I can figure out what will work in here. You resting? You're cute, but you're starting to look a little on the ugly side, getting all your feathers in. Are you getting close to having your babies? Are you trying to pull furs? Yeah? You're gonna be such a good mama. She's trying to pull fur out of her dewlap, but she can barely grab it. Yeah? Are you adorable? Yeah? Will you come put your fur in your nest box? What if we bring it over here? Come on. Yeah, you hungry? Put the fur down. You gotta put it down. Take it out of your mouth. Come on. Let me have it. Put it in the nest box. Put it down. You okay? Yeah? Yeah? You're a good girl. All right, here we go for our nightly chores once again. Oh goodness. Tonight is in the 30s, so the French lab babies cannot really handle that. So they gotta come into the sunroom once again. So tomorrow is supposed to be in the 50s, so they should be able to handle that. But anyways, they are still, the latest litter doesn't quite have fur yet, so it's just not quite warm enough. These carts, y'all, I'm telling you, best investment you will ever make. I will say that they don't turn super awesome, so you can get them off on their angle a little bit. Gotta get them straight on. Let's see. My also thought process is that even if they could possibly tolerate the weather outside, they're using their energy to stay warm and grow or they'll grow better if they're not cold, basically. Instead of using all that energy to just stay warm, they're able to grow and thrive. Alright, let's make sure they're doing alright. Oh, we got wigglers. All 13 of them are still hanging in there. Got one in particular that was being a pig yesterday, but I definitely don't expect all of them to make it, but we'll see. Absolutely unbelievable. It was beautiful yesterday. We even mowed the yard. The Monday after Easter, it is snowing. Ridiculous. Oh my goodness. What a lovely situation. I'm wearing my husband's rain jacket and laying my own over top of the babies so I can get them out to mama because, you know, it's raining outside. It's absolutely lovely. Not so much. I normally just have a towel over where the babies are, but yeah, we gotta batten down the hatches this morning. Alright, as of last night, I had to quickly change the straw out because the babies, when they are in there for a few days, they get almost this little pocket that keeps them almost wet. The fur, while it keeps them warm, it's not breathable. So I had to change that really fast. She's down to 9, I think. I counted them last night and I kind of forget. Yeah, hello. I believe it. I think there was one that wasn't gonna make it for sure. Oh, I think maybe this is it right here. Yep. This one didn't make it. You always want to make sure you remove the dead ones because, you know, it's not healthy to leave in, to leave it in the nest. So I know that's kind of like a disgusting part. But I want to, you know, make sure I'm showing the reality, as well. So it's kind of a part of it. I have a feeling that French Laps are kind of worse about it. They're just like when they have so many, they just can't feed them all, and it happens with a lot of breeds. But they're also not, the breed itself isn't always the best mama. They try, they really do, but like they're even at shows and stuff. Flemish Giants, for one, is a breed group that will kind of poke fun at us for that a little bit. But anyway, so you definitely have to love the breed if you're going to get into it because there's a lot of downsides to it as well. So anyways, just make sure that, you know, you have to do the nasty parts alongside of it. And, you know, do what you gotta do. So anyways, they are ready for mama, I'm sure. She's doing very well. I think she should keep most of these. We might run into 1 or 2 falling behind because they haven't gotten as much. So if I feel like she's trying to feed them and can handle that number, then I will step in and feed what is left because there's no sense in me hand feeding babies that she can't take care of anyways. It's just prolonging the inevitable. So anyways, time to take them back outside to mama. Where you going? Put them in now? Are you waiting on them? Yeah, are you waiting on them? Are you a sweetheart? I know you are. Yeah. All right, let's get them in there. Got a nosy neighbor over there. Always the last one out, aren't you? Mm-hmm. So that is exactly why you have to just put the babies back and, you know, get out of the way because this breed, they love you too, but, you know, they need to do their job and feed the babies. So that's why a lot of times you just gotta put them in and get, because she's like, oh, you're here. Well, I might as well talk to you too. Hey there, buddy. We are up close and personal. So that I only have about 4 foot of counter space on this side and probably 3 that's open on the other side. So I don't have, you know, a ton of space to put you at a nice angle. Anyways, I am trying to get a stew. I tried it once already and it turned out very, very well. So one of the troubles with having access, well, it's not a trouble, it's a blessing for sure, but trying to cook wild meat a lot of times is that when it can get hard or there's just not a lot of good alternatives for it. And so I tried this stew option. It's called Hearty Venison Stew, but I tried it on wild rabbit and it turned out great with my own tweaks. So if you are a hunter or have, you know, a hunter, you're a hunter's wife trying to figure out what to do and make relatively normally hard meat soft and good to eat. So I am doing it this time with ground deer, and since it did great with the wild rabbit. I will put it up over here so you can see the ingredients, and then I'll type it in the description below. But anyways, I'm curious to see how well it works. But it smells a little odd when you first put it all together. You can pretty much do any kind of vegetables for a typical stew, but then chili sauce and honey and vinegar, stuff like that. So it kind of, you end up mixing a lot, but it turns out good. All just dumping it in the crock pot. The original recipe has you putting the meat in like a bag and like kind of coating it and everything, but I found that was pretty much unnecessary for what they were wanting to do. So just dumping it all in the crock pot, adding a little bit of water to keep things from like burning and things, but other than that, turns out great. It's not super warm outside, but we have a dead cat up at the road, and I do not care to be downwind of such a stench in the next couple of days when it warms up. So I'm going to go remove such critter. Alright, I brought it off the side of the road and into a less out of the way, or less in the way, resting place, let's put it that way. So that way, we do not have to be downwind of it in the back, working with the animals or anything like that. Oh, sorry, Mama. Took off one of the mamas in our front porch nest. You guys are getting so big, aren't ya? Yeah? I know. You guys have to, like, be able to fit in this tub until it gets warm enough outside. You just gotta be able to handle it, because you need feathers before you can go outside, and these tubs are about as big as they can buy. Yeah. There's just no more tubs that are any bigger. Yeah, so you have to be able to fit in this until it's warm outside.